Why hello there, RDR fans and future RDR fans. Thanks for tuning in. I just want to let you guys know if you are watching the division breakdown episodes that we're doing week to week, this is the same content. We just decided to chop it up on a team by team basis. So it's just easier for people to look for, and also maybe gets us a little exposure too for people just looking for that specific team. So thanks again. Enjoy the content. I also wanted to let you know the sluts right here. It's a good friend of mine, and his band's awesome, and he's been letting us use all his music for the intros and outros. So I'm going to start throwing on new songs. So if you like what you hear, go to their Spotify and check it out. Right on to the episode. Without further ado, I'm going to kick it over to you guys and kind of explain what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, we're just going to run down all four teams in the NFC East, talk about their draft, talk about what they did in free agency, who they lost, and then kind of like a 2021 just preview, little fantasy thoughts, thinking how all these losses and additions could impact the team, you know?
For sure. Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it, man. We're just going to kind of go through the depth chart and get everyone prepped for the 2021 year. I think it's going to be a banger. And I'll tell you what was not a banger was the NFC East last year.
Oh, no, they were awful.
You want to talk about a team winning a division with a losing record? That's what we got right here.
Yeah.
But there's been a ton of changes, so I'm super excited.
Well, do you guys want to move on to the 2021 NFC East champions?
Or
we
the
can
2020.
we can move on to
No, 2021. I'm calling it.
Yeah,
Calling my shot.
let's move on to the Washington football team.
Yeah.
I will say, okay, I'm so sorry for this. You guys are going to have to hold tight. I did a deep dive on Scott Turner, which is why everything else wasn't as thorough. But you got to hear me out. You can't go too low. You had to put ice in it, huh?
yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we'll move on to the Washington football team. I'm already really sorry because I'm really gonna dive into it. I have 2 pages, and this is gonna blow your freaking minds, boys. Okay, so Scott Turner, obviously son of offensive coordinator / head coach Norv Turner. So he grew up as a Washington Redskin. I can say that. I can say it because it was in 2005 or 1994. So he did grow up as his dad being the head coach of the Washington football team, 5th grade to senior year. So, I wrote right here. So this is personal, Okay, you got to start with me. So I'm going to start with a fella named Rod Chazinski. This is a former Miami Hurricane tight end and then offensive coordinator of the Miami Hurricanes from 2001 to 2003 under the legendary coach Larry Coker. So in 2001,
Cocker.
Is it Cocker?
No, I just thought it was funny.
Oh, Cocker. So 2001 to 2003, the guy won 2 national championships as offensive coordinator, lost in the 2003 national championship, Ohio State.
Hell yeah.
But he also was coaching the likes of Ken Dorsey at quarterback, Jeremy Shockey, Kellen Winslow, Clinton Portis, Andre Johnson. Like some pretty serious guys. So this guy moves on to be the Browns tight end coach and then goes to San Diego where he coaches Antonio Gates, who is already like an up-and-coming stud. He then moves on to be the offensive coordinator of the Browns, where he is the head coach. And he went 10-6, didn't make the playoffs because the Pittsburgh Steelers also went 10-6, but won the head-to-head, where he coached the likes of Braylon Edwards, the 6'3", 214-pound guy, 154 receptions, or 154 targets, 80 receptions, 1,200 yards, 16 touchdowns, and Kellen Winslow, the guy he coached in college. This guy is like a tight end guru, unlike any Darther I've ever met.
Amen, brother.
This, you're wondering why I'm talking about this guy. He then goes on to coach in San Diego. So we'll flash back a little bit to Norv Turner, where he coached the Chargers from 2007 to 2009, and further, where his leading reception leaders were Vincent Jackson, a 6'5", 230 guy,
Oh, yeah.
Antonio Gates, and it was obviously the LaDainian Tomlinson show.
Yeah.
So, in 2009 to 2010, the tight ends coach, who is this Rod Chazinski, he comes in as a tight ends coach, assistant to head coach Norv Turner, right? So with an aging LT, or LaDainian Tomlinson, I call him LT, we know each other.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of shifts, and everything becomes all Antonio Gates and Vincent Jackson. Also, LaDainian Tomlinson, third in targets in that whole season. So then we're going into 2010, where Vincent Jackson plays 5 games. So they rely heavily on Darren Sproles and Malcolm Floyd, the 6'5", 225 receiver. So this guy loves big-bodied receivers, is what I'm gathering. We're talking Andre Johnson. We're talking Malcolm Floyd. We're talking Vincent Jackson. So this is where it all comes together for Scott Turner, the now offensive coordinator for the Washington football team. He gets hired as an offensive quality control coach in 2011 for the Carolina Panthers for first-time head coach Ron Rivera. Ooh. He is also, Ron Rivera is formerly the defensive coordinator for the San Diego Chargers.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, from 2008 to 2010 under coach Norv Turner.
Oh my goodness.
So Rod Chazinski comes in and turns this horrific offense into a top 10 offense under Cam Newton, Steve Smith, Greg Olson, and a running back committee of D'Angelo Williams and Jonathan Stewart and Cam Newton. So, now we're going into 2012, where Norv Turner is... Oh, I'm losing myself here. Okay, so Norv Turner's still the coach there in Los Angeles, or I guess then San Diego, where he's going on the likes of Malcolm Floyd and Antonio Gates. Also, the second leading receiver in receptions that year was Ronnie Barber, running back.
Yeah.
Ronnie Barber was also third in rushing attempts, behind Ryan Matthews and Jackie Battle. So what I'm saying is, these guys aren't afraid to go off a running back committee.
Right.
Right? So now we're going into Rod Chazinski, who leaves the Carolina Panthers to go coach the Cleveland Browns. He brings in, for his offensive coordinator, Norv Turner, and wide receiver coach, Scott Turner. This, if you don't remember, in 2013, was when the wide receiver phenomenon of Josh Gordon comes to light.
Yeah, why everybody still freaks out. Every time
Yeah,
he gets-
159 targets, 87 receptions, 1,600 yards, 9 touchdowns. Also, the second leading receiver, Jordan Cameron, tight end, 118 targets, 917 yards, 7 touchdowns. And this was under the likes of 3 different quarterbacks. So, it's all fucked. It's all just fucked. He also had a running back committee of Willis McGahee and Chris Obenanwa. But it's also to be noted that though Willis McGahee was the leading running back, the third in receptions was Chris Obenanwa.
Chris O.
Chris O. So what I'm saying is it just seems like there's a pattern going here. Because now we're going to go to the 2014 Vikings, where Norv Turner is hired as an offensive coordinator with his son Scott Turner, who's the quarterback coach. I don't know if you remember the running back committee of Matt Asiata and Jerick McKinnon.
Yeah, we all do.
Right? I don't. I blocked this year out of my head. But so then Adrian Peterson comes back in 2015, takes everything. Then we have breakout years from rookie Stephon Diggs and fourth-year guy Kyle Rudolph. So if we're seeing a theme here, right?
Yeah.
Tight ends. This guy grew up in the league just under like this tight end guru, and his dad who just loves these big guys like and are not afraid of this running back committee, right? So in 2016, Kyle Rudolph continues to do his thing, leading. This is where he developed the name Rudy Red-Nosed Reindeer, right? Mm-hmm. Stephon Diggs, and then an undrafted free agent, Adam Thielen, a master of the back shoulder fade in red zone, right? And Cordero Patterson. Throw that in for you.
Fuck all that.
Interestingly enough, he goes back to be the QB coach under Ron Rivera in 2018-2019, where we have the likes of CMC, we have the likes of DJ Moore, and the big-bodied receiver, and Curtis Samuel. And he also brings in Jarius Wright, from who he coached in Minnesota, who didn't do a whole lot, but he was definitely just like a third possession receiver, same size as Curtis Samuel. He then follows Ron Rivera to Washington, and that's where we lie now. Okay, but to summarize it all, I think that J.D. McKissick is going to have I think he's going to have a high participation in this offense. I think Gibson's, if you look at all this data, I think Gibson's going to be the lead runner, and I think J.D. McKissick's going to be the lead receiving back. Mm-hmm. And with that said, with J.D. McKissick leaving next year,
Jarrett
Patterson, and or Antonio Gibson might get that CMC light, green light.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I'm stoked about that.
I think if they can just
So
hold
you
on
gotta
to
wait
it.
a year on that.
Wait a year. So if he has a
gotta
bad
buy
year
him.
and you're worried about something, I think you buy him. And I just want to make two other points. This is a guy who developed a little bit of Stephon Diggs, and I remember someone comparing a rookie this year to Stephon Diggs in a Diami Brown.
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did, my boy over there. And I also wanted to say, I got to bring my piece of paper out. We're talking about the likes of Vincent Jackson, Brandon Marshall, Josh Gordon, Braylon Edwards, Andre Johnson, Malcolm Floyd, and Adam Thielen. These are guys that are from 6'2 to 6'5, 205 to like 220. The reason I brought up Brandon Marshall is only because if we're talking about Ryan Fitzpatrick, the two times he was a starter at the 2015 Jets, he targeted Brandon Marshall, the 6'5", 230-pound guy, 173 times.
Good Lord.
And then also when he was the starting quarterback in Buffalo, he targeted Steve Johnson, his big man, 135 times. So this guy loves his possession receivers, and he loves his tight end. I think Jordan Reed it's not Jordan Reed anymore.
Logan Thomas.
I think Logan Thomas and Antonio Gandy Golden, 6'4", 223, are going to have breakout years. I'm just kidding. I think Scary Terry is about to get scarier. If everything comes together, I think Terry McLaurin's going to fucking blow the fuck up.
Oh, yeah.
I think J.D. McKissick's going to be fantasy relevant in a PPR league. I think Antonio Gibson is 1 year away from being an incredible running back. I think Curtis Samuel is a wash.
Ooh,
Really?
so buy your Curtis Samuel shares while you still can.
I think Curtis Samuel's going to basically just be the guy that's going to be the changeup. Like, hey, he's going to get like 500-600 yards and a couple of touchdowns.
So he's going to be 2019 Curtis Samuel.
100%.
They paid him an awful lot of money to do that.
Well,
Are we talking about Kenny Galladay or are we talking
No
about Curtis
shit.
Samuel? I lost myself. I blacked out. What happened?
Well, for my
Basically,
other
man,
league
Jordan
I just
Reed's
drafted
back.
for, I hope you're wrong about Curtis Samuel, but I'm with you on everything you said. As far as I'm 100% with you on the Diami Brown stuff. That was something I wanted to talk about later. Sorry, I'm looking up his contract. It's not that big a deal.
Oh, I also wanted to bring up while you're
I think
doing
it was
that.
12.5.
While you're doing that, the two
3-year, $34 million contract.
Okay, 11.
It's an awful lot of money to pay somebody to get 500 yards.
unless he's going to be the J.D. McKissick. If I'm wrong on that,
Yeah.
that's the only thing I see.
I think we're all on the same page that Terry McLaurin could be a top 5 receiver in the league this year, in my opinion. No?
That's what I told
Too
him
far?
pre-show, and he laughed at me. I was talking about our startup.
Could be.
I'm like, if I get Stephon Diggs and Terry McLaurin, I got a chance of having 2 top 5 receivers.
I mean, could be. Emphasis on could, but it could happen. He's that good, and Ryan Fitzpatrick throws it that much.
Yeah,
2018 Kenny Galladay, anybody?
I mean, you guys are forgetting about one thing.
Fine, top 10. Whatever.
Okay, top 10 for sure. Locked in. Sorry. It's more, to me, it's more about the defense, you know. If you're looking at the Washington football team, you're talking about a team that was like 28th in the point, or 4th in points scored against,
Yeah.
So they don't necessarily have to make Terry McLaurin a top 5 wide receiver to win games, because their defense is going to prevent them from having to get YOLO crazy shit going. Which brings me all the way back to, Antonio Gibson. Like, how many fourth quarters is this guy just going to just be carrying the ball the whole time? Just freaking pounding it down, straight up the line. You're talking about a 6-foot guy that weighs nearly 230. He's going to make some room, man. Jarek Patterson's not taking those fourth quarter carries away.
Yeah.
He's not getting first downs running up the middle. J.D. McKissick, same thing. So I think that this team is going to be a lot more balanced. You get excited about Ryan Fitzpatrick, which I just started spelling as FITXXX, so triple X Fitz, getting nasty. You talk about that guy. He's coming off of, a rising QBR the past 3 years. He's playing his best football, really. So it's going to be good, but I don't think we're going to see the same kind of YOLO Fitzpatrick that we're used to. He's in a stable organization right now where I think they're going to expect him to be more of a game manager and more controlled.
I see what you're saying, but that didn't work last year, though. Like, they were 4th in points on defense and 2nd in yards, and they ranked 25th in points on offense and 30th in yards, and ultimately they went 7-9. Like, they made the playoffs. Like, and I think they obviously knew their defense was sick, so they go out and they get Ryan Fitzpatrick, Curtis Samuel. We all forget they signed Adam Humphries, who 2 or 3 years ago was a guy that everybody was looking out for. And then you draft De'Ami Brown in the 3rd round. I think they do want to pass more. I think they want to get up on teams, so I'm kind of 50-50 with you. I think the first half they could go off and try to put up like 20 or more points, and that's going to be mostly Fitz and the receivers and Logan Thomas. And then, if they're ahead, Antonio Gibson's going to run the ball down everybody's throat. But I think they kind of learned that no matter how good your defense is in today's NFL, if your offense can't produce enough, then you're still not going to win that many games.
Yeah, but I mean the difference between Ryan Fitzpatrick playing like he did in Tampa Bay and the Washington football team not having anything close to a consistent quarterback play last year is huge.
That's fair. Yeah, you're right.
So, I mean, I hope that Ryan Fitzpatrick, I love watching him. And if he can go nuts, then maybe we can watch some freaking Washington games in Kansas, because you got to pretty much, get a freaking VPN to watch any of this team play. It's ridiculous.
Speaking of which, our sponsor, ExpressVPN.
And also, just don't forget that, like, as bad as their offense was, their offensive line was really good last year.
Yeah.
It was ranked 3rd in passing by PFF and 10th in run blocking.
And so basically unchanged.
Yeah, I mean, they cut Morgan Moses recently within the last week or two. Mm-hmm. But they drafted Samuel Cosmi, which I think is an underrated tackle. I mean, obviously he's a rookie, so you never know. So I think the offensive line can stay there, and I would argue, without doing research, that this might be the best offensive line that Ryan Fitzpatrick's ever played behind. Like, he's usually on pretty subpar teams, and like I said earlier, I think this team is going to win the division. It's going to be them or Dallas, and I'm putting money on Washington.
Hands down.
Yeah.
And so I could see him slinging it. I really can, man. And I mean, obviously Terry's going to be the guy. But Cam Sims was the second most productive wide receiver on the team last year. He had 32 catches and 477 yards.
Right.
The second leader in receptions was McKissick with 80, then Logan Thomas with 72, and then Gibson with 36. And so they go out and they bring in Samuel and they bring in De'Ami Brown in the third round. They spent a third-round pick on him. Like, man, I'm excited. I do see your point for sure, and if it goes that way, I will not be surprised because Ron Rivera's always been kind of a more subdued coach. But
defensive guy, you know.
He
wants to control the game. He doesn't.
Also, his defensive coordinator is Jack Del Rio, so it's like two of like these defensive-minded guys. But I think Ron Rivera's going to stay out of it, man. I think
Scott Turner's offense.
Might be like.
But you're talking like all that Scott Turner, Turner stuff was like those are some pretty timid quarterbacks through that run.
Phillip Rivers?
Yeah. Well, you go, Teddy Bridgewater, who was set up to make quite the impression before he tore his ACL. His quarterback coach was Scott Turner. I'm just saying, like, you look at the development of, even in that realm, when he was getting his just feet more and more wet with his dad being the offensive coordinator, you got Stephon Diggs, you got Adam Thielen, you got Kyle Rudolph, like
Josh Gordon.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
Like, dude, that 2013 year, you know how many passing attempts, the targets were on that 2013 team when he was wide receiver coach? 677.
It's just it's a different vibe, man.
Maybe. I don't know, man. I just feel like why stray away and try to do something you're not used to?
All right. I'm not going to, we don't have to keep talking about it. I just think a 39-year-old Fitzpatrick in a team that was very, very impressive. The only thing it was missing was more passing options and a consistent passer. Yeah. I don't think you don't have to overshoot it. I think you've made the changes you need. Just control the game.
Yeah.
This might just be a natural thing, man. Don't fuck with nature, bro.
All right. Fitz gonna magic.
I'm about split on both the
good.
arguments, to be honest. But
all I want is for Terry and Curtis and Gibson and Logan Thomas and De'Ami Brown through the moon, man. I want Washington to win the fucking Super Bowl next year.
Okay, this is
make me so happy.
The one thing I neglected was actually looking at their schedule.
We know what 6 of their teams are, right? Or 6 of their games.
Well, right.
But then they won, so they're going to have to play all the NFC division winners.
Yeah, they're going to play us.
Yeah, they're playing the AFC West.
Uh-oh.
So you still stand by that?
They're going to have to put some points on the board.
They play the AFC West plus
they're going to be
Tampa Bay, Green Bay, Buffalo, teams. New Orleans.
I could see us losing that game.
I'm excited.
I could see this being a lot of shootout games right here, buddy.
Yeah? You know how many picks Ryan Fitzpatrick throws?
Not as much as Brett Favre.
Wow.
Jesus.
All right.
Seemed unnecessary.
Sorry.
All right. I'm sure we got more. I got way more to say about them, right?
Oh, fuck.
No, I don't. We pretty much...
Antonio Gibson's going to be a stud. I do want to say that. I mean, I think we all kind of indirectly said it, but just off rip, I think he's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I almost was just saying that, like, I don't think you have to. Like, you need to wait a year to be the full CMC. But as far as what I think to be a very, very timid fourth quarter nursing a lead, Andy Reid in 2018 type gameplay is what I'm expecting out of this team, So that means a lot of rushing work in the fourth quarter for Antonio Gibson. But I did want to say that I wanted to go back to some Fitzpatrick stuff, and I guess I don't even have to say it. Basically, in 2018, in the 4 games he was the full-time quarterback in Tampa Bay, there were 5 different receivers that had 96 or more yards in one of those games. and not really a consistent player to get multiple 100-yard games, except for Mike Evans, right? So he will spread the ball around. The same thing goes for Miami. You know, even Isaiah Ford was getting some pretty good action last year when Fitzpatrick was in there. So that kind of goes against what you're saying about Curtis Samuel a little bit. I think that it's going to be unpredictable, like you were saying. But aside from Terry McLaurin and really Logan Thomas, I think we're going to not have a lot of consistent production out of the rest of the pass catchers.
You could see that.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I think the O-line is really good. And I thought that
underrated.
Samuel Cosme out of Texas, that was a really, really good.
Super smart pick. Talk about a team that didn't just go one way or the other like all the other NFC teams. Linebacker in the first round, offensive tackle in the second round, cornerback in the second round. Or was St. Jude's second or third? I don't remember. They had 2 picks in one of those rounds.
2 picks in the third. It was a cornerback.
So St. Jude's in the third, and then De'Ami Brown in the third. Like, they were going back and forth.
And they got John Bates at blocking tight end in the fourth.
So I feel like, okay, so now melding all of these ideas that we had. So this could potentially be a team that plays conservatively, but then gets to the playoffs and can just really let it rip.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this could be a very dangerous team.
That's what I'm saying. And one thing we haven't touched on with Ryan Fitzpatrick, and I'm just, every time you say something, I'm going to say Ryan Fitzpatrick. Mm-hmm. But he's never been on a team that really had a prolific rushing presence in the past few years.
Right.
So, anyway, but yeah, I think what you're saying is that this team has so many options on how it's going to win, aside from limiting the other team from scoring, that, yeah, you're going to see really a prolific team, especially in the playoffs when you get down the stretch. Yeah. And if they can start throwing out extra stuff, which Ron has always kind of had a little flair. It's not sexy, but like he's always had a pop of surprise in his game. So pretty excited.
Yeah, it should be weird. I definitely think that Antonio Gibson might be a light second coming of a CMC. If they can find the right quarterback post this
year. That is
year,
the issue.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. So I think we all have them winning the division.
That's that, man.
Well, we got to sign off, boys.
Well, yeah. Toots. People say toots.
Woo.
Keep your secrets and I won't be too honest. Be too honest. Only thing that I need to know is you want it. Do you want it? Gotta